I call to order the Etna Township Board of Trustees regular meeting here on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mr. Burkholder?
Here.
Ms. McKee?
I'm here.
Ms. McKee, would you please lead the invocation?
Yes, please. Would stand for with me. Bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you again for this day that you have made. We thank you for bringing us here together safely. And we thank you for our township. We ask you to continue to bless this township, continue to allow us to work together to accomplish the business of this township, Father. We thank you for our military. We thank you that they will continue to keep America great. And we thank you again for this meeting, and let us land safely home tonight and be with us as we go. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda, but I wanted to
I'll second that.
second.
Go ahead.
Comments.
Go ahead.
I know we are on this agenda, we talked about interviewing. I would like to make a motion that we do open interviews here instead of going in executive session.
There's a motion to amend the agenda. Is there a second to that amendment? Is there a second? Do you have any more discussion on that?
No, sir.
And then I do,
Well, second it. Is there a second for the?
Oh, no, no,
amendment? We can
no.
have discussion. I'll second it for discussion. What's the reason for this?
Well, again, we've had some previous recording of our executive session, and not knowing if it's going to take place again. I would caution to rather have the interviews open so the public can hear the questions and hear the answers, because it's a meeting for a board. It's not a, so I think it should be an open interview.
Well, I share the same concern regarding the recording of executive sessions without telling the other trustees. Plus, I don't think they should be recorded at all. But I think it's been the practice, and I think there are applicants that would feel more comfortable answering questions in executive session. So those are my comments.
and my comments are, Mr. Burkholder, you just lied saying that the board was not informed that those meetings would be recorded, because you and Ms. McKee were actually sent emails on that you just chose to disregard. So that wasn't truthful. And the whole reason for that recording again was because Ms. McKee's actions and threats within that meeting that you've refused to even defend against. So, but the administrator and I have worked out where she will be the witness. So there is no need, because I have full faith in her to actually state when threats are made, if they are made. I know Ms. Burkholder, you don't, but so that situation's handled, but I do believe that it needs to be an executive session. It's not fair to the applicants for the questions that may and will be asked that it be in public. I think that should be private, and we need to return to proper administration here, and that's part of it.
I have no further comments. Do you have anything, Ms. McKee?
No, I don't.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Burkholder?
No.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
I'll move to amend the agenda to include Resolution 2024-60, a resolution to retain an independent contractor for the provision of fiscal services. Is there a second?
Second for discussion.
Go ahead, Ms. McKee.
So you're talking about having a fiscal, can you go more into depth with what you're referring to, Mr. Burkholder, please?
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to. I've had discussions with the township administrator. We feel there's a need for additional consulting regarding preparing the budget for 2025 and also closing out the books for 2024. The UAN system is a very complicated system. Our fiscal officer has only been on the job since March, and while there is a transition, there's a lot to learn, and I think it's in the best interest of the township that we have that additional experience so that we can get the budget properly prepared for passage in December, and that we can meet the timelines necessary to close out the books for 2024. This is not a new topic. This topic was talked about by the previous board and was never implemented then, and I think if there were ever a time to do it, it's now. We've had a lot of transition and new people when it comes to the fiscal officer, and we contacted the auditor of state, and they have what they call a visiting fiscal officer. We have a gentleman, Chris Kirby, who the administrator spoke with today, at $45 per hour. You have a copy of the resolution in front of you. For a maximum of 3,600, that would be 80 hours, not to exceed that. But if in fact we did need additional time, that could be approved by the administrator in an amount not to exceed $1,350. I'll be happy to any other questions, and I'll also defer to the fiscal officer, but also the township administrator if you would like to have additional comments regarding this proposal.
Well, I do have
Yeah, me too. Go ahead.
Okay.
You go ahead.
my comment on this is I've tried to address the budget concerns and issues months ago and has been blocked by Mr. Burkholder. Again, we've set a workshop for November 26th. So again, it's last minute trying to scramble and do this. Now, this fiscal officer was given a full transition, binders, free training, everything, and it's been of concern because those weren't taken fully advantage of, leaving early on the. There's been a cavalier attitude, and while we do have to do this, the fiscal officer is receiving substantial compensation, much more than trustees, to handle these duties. The training wasn't done early on. I mean, the transition period was started in November through April before. So I think this is up to almost $5,000 that it should be done through the fiscal office. That's part of the job. And again, I've been warning this board and wanting to discuss it, and it's been refused, Mr. Burkholder.
No, that's not correct. It hasn't been refused. So I don't know what you're talking about blocking or anything. Our priority was to get the township administrator on and then begin to tackle the budget. So I think it's in the best interest of the township. We talked before, Mr. Evans, you supported providing extra technical assistance to the previous fiscal officer, and now you choose to.
No.
I don't know if it's retribution or what it is, but it's not appropriate.
No, sir. That Ms. Varian was provided zero transitional help by the outgoing fiscal officer.
We're very aware.
Zero. I and Ms. McKee were provided zero transitional help during our period. So to compare those two and try to say that I have a grudge or something, no, it's not. And you're the one being disingenuous in this. No. And we've had those conversations. The former fiscal officer spent a lot of time with the current fiscal officer trying to teach, and it wasn't taken advantage of, and it wasn't appreciated. And now we're going to do her job for her. And is this going to be ongoing? Is there going to be any effort to learn? Is there, again, the transition was from November to April.
That's enough personal attacks.
No, it's not personal attacks, it's about performance.
Yeah, well, because the fact that we were brought up from he brought up the previous board, we never blocked our previous fiscal officer from getting any kind of training. I know that she, in a year in, she asked for an additional help, meaning not training, help. So that's different. Training is one thing and help is another. So that's not true, Mr. Mark Evans. So I would be more caution on you being honest and truthful to
I could prove everything I stated.
Okay, so that's all I have to say.
Does the administrator have anything she'd like to add since? regarding the budget and
Yeah, I
our
mean,
challenges.
for me,
Put that mic to you,
Yeah.
please. Thank you.
it's rare that people can't hear me.
Well, it goes on the record.
No, I know. I know. You know, for me, my focus is really on what's in the best interest of the township. And despite what may or may not have happened, the fact is that we are at a time when we need some additional resources right now in order for us to get what needs to be done before the end of the year. And so that's my focus. And so I am in favor of having this resource. I did try and limit it to a not to exceed amount. I didn't have a sense of what that, so I did add those extra hours just in case, but I feel like we'll be able to do it just with the first amount of hours. I just didn't want us to be too close in time and I couldn't come back and get additional hours if necessary. So that's why I put those extra 30 hours in there.
Well, it's up to the board to make that decision if we want to go that route. But to be honest with you, we had a trustee go out on social media and really say some bad, mean things about our fiscal officer. And, you know, she needs help to make her job easier and also to do the job well. I don't see why we would not give her that opportunity. I don't like to get out on social media and embarrass my colleagues. And, you know, Mr. Evans, I'm just surprised that you wouldn't support it because, you know, you're one of the ones that went out and put it out on social media.
Does the fiscal officer, do you have anything you'd like to add at this time?
No. I just would like some help because I am like not quite sure with all the money that we are trying to budget, what I'm doing totally with the budget.
Okay.
You
Very
know,
good.
There are other questions I have, and Susan and I have talked about it today, and we've talked about it before. We've had a couple meetings on it, and I think we're both at it with, you know, we both need some help to get, you know, it's our first years here.
I'll call the question. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Very good. Motion passes. Thank you.
And I'll move to amend the agenda to include under new business, to make the administrator's main contact, point of contact for all vendors, outside counsel, TID, and the Pike Street project, and a discussion on, I know the budget thing is on there, but about the recent payroll issue.
Is there a second to the motion to amend the agenda and add those items? Is there a second to the motion? Hearing none, the motion fails.
And then just for general discussion, again, disappointed that Mr. Burkholder, you don't want to give up your control. We have an administrator for a reason, and for you to, this is the second time officially that you're blocking the transfer of the primary contact to the administrator away from yourself. It's needed, because even the Pike Street, we learned that there's been numerous changes made to the project, and I asked the Brandis engineer, who's approved these? And they said the township. And the township board has not approved those. Mr. Burkholder, on his own, without authority, has made those changes. And that is inappropriate. That's the same thing Ms. McKee did previously. And this project is supposed to be of the board, not of Mr. Burkholder or Ms. McKee.
And have you submitted the changes? You know, there's still an opportunity for the board members to submit questions and recommendations till November 19th. Have you submitted any of those discussion items that you've raised, Mr. Evans?
I'm still waiting for the information provided to the board at the meeting, but that obfuscates your actions, inappropriate actions on that of making those changes.
Well, under discussion of the adoption of the agenda, let me clarify something. I've worked closely with the township administrator every single day. Every contact that I've had, whether it be a vendor, legal counsel, or anyone, I've asked them to go ahead and include the administrator, that she is the point of contact. So it's a false statement to say that I'm not aiding in the transition. I work every single day and communicate with the administrator. She can verify that, and so to continue to make false statements is detrimental to the township. I will continue to fully cooperate and work with the administrator. give her the historical knowledge she needs and all the contacts she needs to be up to date on every single project. But there is a tremendous amount of projects going on, and that does not mean that any of us trustees cannot have comment or communicate with the administrator and talk about those projects, so.
But the problem is that you want to retain it because it was board action that gave you the authority as the primary contact with outside counsel. So it requires board action to change it, but yet again, you want to say, I bequeath unto somebody else this action when you don't have that authority and you're refusing to allow that change to officially happen. This is a board of 3, not of 1.
I agree with you completely, so I'll roll call on adoption of the full agenda.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Mr. Evans?
No.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
very good. We'll move on to the adoption of the meeting minutes. Is there a motion to adopt we have a whole list here. Is there a motion to adopt the August 6, 2024 regular meeting minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll actually move to table all the minutes. They were provided on Friday evening. I had a chance to glance over them. There's been some, obvious errors that have been transmitted to the administrator, and
I'll move to second that tabling.
okay.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
No.
The minutes are tabled, and hopefully we'll have ample time now to go through these and get these all adopted at our next regularly scheduled meeting. Thank you. Public comments. Is there anyone that would like to speak? If so, please come to the podium, state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes, and please direct your comments to the board. Is there anyone at this time that would like to speak? Mr. Hanson.
John Hanson, Ridgewood Drive. Mr. Evans, it's pretty rich for you to say you didn't favor Julie Varian when there's multiple pictures of you parked outside her house like a sick puppy every week. And throughout the meetings, you say, well, when Julie and I were doing that. So you're kind of disingenuous in the way that you treat this. The only thing that you want now is anything that you can use to bludgeon the other trustees. So what I was here to talk about tonight was the motion that came out yesterday, the order granting Appellee 8900 National Road motion for attorney's fees. So I'm not going to read this whole thing, but the order was for us to be totally reimbursed for our fees. The facts relevant to this motion began with Nita Hansen's brief employment as Township Administrator. She's also an owner of 8900 National Road. In the appellee case on March 7th, 2023, the trustees adopted a resolution hiring Nita Hansen as Township Administrator. And from that moment on, my family has been under attack by Mark Evans. Trustee Evans began conducting his personal attacks against Hansen by filing public records requests for records he already had in order to make busy work for her. This is Judge Brandstow's words. By speaking in public about terminating her employment, by posting derogatory comments about her on Facebook, and by accusing her and other township officials of lying. And you've seen 2 or 3 examples of that tonight already. These actions ultimately led to Hansen filing an employment complaint against Trustee Evans. The trustees hired a third-party investigator to conduct an investigation into the complaint. The investigator determined that Trustee Evans had engaged in bullying behavior in violation of Etna Township's personnel policies, and Trustee Evans was publicly reprimanded for his conduct to Hansen and others. Ultimately, Hansen's employment with the township did not last, and she received a settlement to compensate for her treatment during the employment. That was the $80,000 that Mr. Evans paid for bullying.
You have 1 minute.
Since I have 1 minute, I'll skip ahead here a little bit. The evidence shows that 8900 National Road incurred substantial attorney fees by defending and and seeking dismissal of this appeal. Therefore, it is clear that the challenge product, the appeal, adversely affected 8900 National Road and the award of attorney's fees and other costs under if the revised code is proper. For the foregoing reasons, appellee 8900 National Road's motion for attorney's fees is granted. The court finds no reason to depart from the lodestar figure, and therefore, appellee 8900 National Road is awarded judgment against the appellate trustees' attorney fees in the amount of $27,030.72. That's what we paid for something that should have never been filed. It was clearly filed as a frivolous lawsuit.
You have 10 seconds.
So, in other words, the township owes you by a lawsuit $27,030.72.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you kindly.
And I'd just like to state, you mentioned that report. Ms. McKee put an end to that investigation before I could discuss and provide information to them. So we know it was a sham investigation and all the other stuff. So I won't say any more because I'm not
That's
sure
enough.
if we're going to appeal or not, but.
Read the investigation. You
No,
put off
Mr.
8
Hanson.
times.
Mr. Hanson.
Mr. Hanson.
Time's expired.
You refuse to.
Yes, next, please. Thank you.
No, it's about everything.
Ryan Davis, 8807 Watkins Road. I know the meeting won't show prior to the meeting and the argument that you and Mr. Burkholder were having, Mr. Evans, but what I was going to say is, meeting minutes date back now to August, and we're tabling and tabling and tabling. I know this is something that was mentioned that was going to be corrected. What I would like, maybe it doesn't have to be after my comments, but to make it clear, discussion throughout yourselves, what you guys think is a plenty of time to review the meeting minutes. I know once you guys get caught up, you should be a meeting behind is the ultimate goal. But should the meeting minutes be out the Thursday before, the Friday before, to make sure Mr. Evans and everyone has enough time to review it? That would be clear. That would be good to have that clear to keep that topic of conversation from arising again. I'm glad that our fiscal officer is going to get some help. I didn't know there was help going on, but it seems like a very detailed conversation for something that has been going on. Mr. Evans, I'm going to submit a records request for those emails because while I think the interview should be conducted in an executive session out of respect to the candidates and the board, I totally understand why Ms. McKee thought that the best option might be to do it publicly because I wouldn't want any more executive sessions recorded either. And the people that I know that are aware that's happened think I'm joking. So it's absolutely ridiculous that the public and everyone that reads the Newark Advocate is continuing to laugh at the dysfunction of Etna Township and all the fingers being pointed. I just don't know why it has to continue, and I hope it stops. Thank you.
And just for clarity, the email, if you want to roll your eyes, Mr. Davis, for clarity, the email is the one stating to the trustees that the meeting will be recorded, correct? The executive session will be recorded? Is that the emails you're requesting?
I look forward to your trustee comments.
So, Mr. Davis, I cannot produce record. That was a records request, so I'm trying to clarify what emails you're asking about. So if you don't clarify, I'll send you the ones. I alerted the other two trustees about recording the executive session.
Mr. Davis, feel free to contact the administrator with the specifics of what your record request is. Thank you. Yes, sir, go ahead.
John Myers, 10785 Palmer Road, Pataskala. Quick question, Mr. Evans there, he spoke of a one-man show here. When he was president, it was a one-man committee until two of them decided it's no more one man, but let's forget that. But I would just like to ask the question, who is the boss or the top dog in this group?
What do you mean by
I'll
that?
let you answer after my 3 minutes up, I guess. You have to think about it.
It's supposed to be an equal board of three.
So, I'm still concerned with the road work that's been done. Somebody put on Facebook today how crappy of a job it was, and Mr. Transparent responded, it's just on the edge, don't worry about it. He says that I asked questions in here that's I don't know anything about. I bet I know more about what happened with the road project than any other resident in the township. I would like to know who was the supervisor of that job? Who was the daily inspector of that job? When I brought up in the meeting last week, or the last meeting, there's a car lot down here that's owned car sales that had piles of material and lots of trucks. And I asked, what's going on down there? No one spoke up. You guys may not knew, but he should have knew what it was. It was the blacktop people processing spot that you guys approved, allowed, let this guy come in, this blacktop company come in and do this job on a car lot, which I think is against zoning. We've raised all kinds of canes about somebody that bought some property on Tollgate Road and wanted to start a cement business, thought he was within the rules and regulations, to come to find out maybe we need to change. We don't want that there. We're going to change the law, change the requirements.
You have 1 minute.
But they didn't do anything about it. They let a blacktop company come in and do their work on that lot down there. And there's a Microsoft spot on the internet that you can read all about microservicing. That gives a lot of details. I bet you haven't read it. I bet you don't know about it. But I've asked for the specs on the road project, and I'm waiting on those specs. Mr. Transparent Response said there was 2 coats, 2 layers of some sections.
15 seconds.
Who decided 1 or 2 sections? On Palmer Road, from 310, they came in and they added blacktop to 4 driveways. 4 foot on one of the driveways.
Your time's expired.
I figured that because the specs are coming into play here.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No questions.
Anyone else would like to speak tonight? There will be an opportunity at the end of the meeting as well for 2 minutes for any public comments. Is there anyone else at this time?
You gonna ask my question? Who is the top dog?
Well, there are three duly elected township trustees here.
You're the man.
Well, I'm the president and we have a vice president, but as far as making decisions, it's all 3 trustees. And as far as these projects are concerned, I was assigned to those projects. I took the lead on that, and that information has come back during the open house. There's time to have input. There's time to change things. So,
Because he made comments that the administrator was going to change everything, and I thought, I don't think the administrator is nothing against her, but I don't think she is the boss. I mean, the president is the person that I think is the last word.
the township administrator runs the day-to-day operations with the support of all 3 trustees. Thank you. Anyone else at this time? Okay. I'll move to go into executive session per Ohio Revised Code 121.22G1, and that is to consider the employment, dismissal, or discipline of a public employee. That'll be all 3 trustees plus the township administrator. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
we're going in at 6:29 PM. Is there a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
I'll second it at 6:53 PM. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
back in regular session. Item 6, the administrator's report. Ms. Betzel.
I put in there this time just because obviously everybody can see that we have appointments to the JED and JED-Z, so I just wanted everybody to see what positions were available. And just a small update on it. It's a small verbal update on Scanel, but we have made a lot of progress meeting with our council and having determined what are some of the best steps to get resolution, so.
Okay. And could you keep me apprised of that if you guys get any information, documents? Just because since it's been going on.
Yeah, it'll be part of the secondary report to all trustees.
Do you have anything else?
No, sir.
Very good. Is there a motion to make a request to the Liquor Control Division of the State of Ohio regarding the Nirvana Cafe liquor license application? Is there a motion to request that public hearing with them? Or request a hearing?
I'll move.
I'll second. Discussion?
Yes, I know this is at, I think, 102 on Eastgate, Etna Crest Boulevard. Is that going to be a Jersey Mike's?
Yes.
Or is that going, because there's no description in here. When you go to the liquor control, it just gives the name of an individual, J.K. Brockham. But when you search the address, it has an upcoming Jersey Mike's
Yes.
location. So is that?
It is the space next to Starbucks.
Correct.
Empty space next to Starbucks.
So the only reason we would be having a hearing would be to say we don't, we can object to it, but other than that, we can just move forward if we don't object to it.
Ms. Betzel, what's your opinion on dealing with these matters? We've had a lot of these that we haven't just addressed it, and there's a lot going on 40 doing this. Now, it might be appropriate there, but what's your opinion on dealing with this, with requesting hearings?
Obviously, it's part of the board's decision to, when you're making your decision, to kind of look at our township as a whole when we're determining where and when and who should have a liquor license. For me, there's never harm in asking for the hearing. But if it's clearly one of those times when you don't have any concern for that location, we're in a location that is not going to have too much more expansion, at least that way, the way that, to the north, then there's probably no harm in not requesting a hearing. I mean, for sure, there are areas where we have concern, and I think that definitely you want to have that. You want to ask for that hearing. But in this situation, again, that's a board decision.
I know personally, the board has not had a discussion about if we want to limit areas or what concerns. There's been no discussion, so that I'm kind of hesitant to say no hearing, because at least it'll give us an opportunity. And if we're requesting hearing for others, and we really don't have a good conversation about it, and we're not going to do it, it's almost like prejudging without having a discussion. So I would be for hearing.
Go ahead.
Just to make sure that we all know that Speedway carries beer and wine. So this is directly across the street. So this is what we will be looking at, a Jersey Mike that most of us are familiar with, and they would probably more than likely be serving beer. So I would not object to them serving beer, because eventually that whole area, which is behind Speedway, which is High Point, there's going to be some commercial things going on over there besides, when they say mixed use, you got different homes, living quarters, but you also will have some commercial. So I don't feel that we should be against them having those licenses to serve beer, because that's pretty much all they do is serve beer.
The only thing I'd say to that is I don't think it's a fair argument to compare it to Speedway, because Speedway, they're not cracking them open and drinking them on site and then leaving. This is a consume on site, whereas Speedway, they're taking for later consumption, or should be. So again, I think we've requested hearings on those on 40. If we use that same argument, there's some already there, so you're just going to let it all go. I think this is one of the one of the things that we have to determine the future of the township, how we're gonna deal with this stuff. And I think the hearing allows at least that conversation.
I'd like some clarification. There are multiple spots there for businesses at 102 Etna Crest Boulevard, correct?
Yeah.
At that address. It's not just one bit. This says Nirvana Cafe, and now we're talking Jersey Mike's. There's more than, that address is a general address for that building, is that correct?
I did look it up. I looked up the address in the, on the website because it was confusing where it was. And it says that it is only that unit that is next to Starbucks.
Because they're doing DBA.
They have independent addresses.
Starbucks
Right.
is 100.
Right.
It's a separate address.
Right,
for
that's what I'm
that.
saying. Those two units are separate,
Right.
but yeah, and Nirvana could,
DBA.
yeah, that's what my
That's what they
assumption
all
was,
do.
yeah.
But it's not, where do we get the Jersey Mike's?
If you put in the address 102 Etna Crest, it comes up with Jersey Mike future location on Jersey Mike's website.
Well, that's fine, but I don't think this, Jersey Mike's, to my knowledge, does not serve alcohol.
No.
That was my question, that's why I'm asking for a
Yeah, I did
hearing,
not-
because we don't have the information.
I did not know, I did not
Right,
look to see, I looked up the company,
right.
to see what other, facilities that they had. There are other Nirvana cafes, located, around us.
There's one over in Pataskla next to Kroger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're the same.
And yeah, and so I looked up ownership to see how many there were, if this was going to be, just another
Yes.
facility for that.
Right.
I did not see that there was a Jersey Mike's coming in. That
Okay.
was not for me.
Well, the motion is to request a hearing, so if there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
motion passes. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-55 to reduce load limits on certain streets in Etna Township, Licking County, Ohio?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I have a question, why some roads are left off the list. I think this is the same list that's just been going on for a while, but you have, like in my neighborhood, Nantucket Avenue, but to get out of the neighborhood into Etna, you have to go Old North Church. Trail West is on there, but not the new road Button Bush. It looks like most neighborhood streets are on there, or some of them, Prince Drive, but Beechwood Drive and Wendell Drive, which can be a cut through from Palmer to Mink. So I don't know if we need to update these roads, or if because the Palmer Road and Mink Road are load reduced, there's no way to get to Beechwood or Wendell. Do you think that would be the thinking?
Then you
Because
can't block access.
Because that's Russell Heights, so
Right,
you
right.
can't get to Russell Heights without going through Palmer or Mink. However, you can't get to Nantucket without going, I'm just not sure why some are
I
missing.
did ask for the roads to be reviewed, and it was my understanding that these are the accurate roads. But I certainly can take a look at that. I wouldn't want to leave something off. I mean, we do have signage on most of these already. And so,
But I know I looked back and it's been the same roads
Sure.
on all the resolutions,
No,
and
I
we've had new
understand.
roads come in and,
no, I understand. I do feel it's important for us to go ahead with these particular ones, but we certainly can come back with additional ones if necessary.
I agree. I think we want to move forward with these, and then we can review it to see if there'll be any subsequent additions. If there's no further discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Okay, we're up to Resolution 2024-56. I'll move to adopt resolution to hire a full-time road department laborer. The Board of Trustees of Etna Township, Licking County, well, I'll ask for a second
I'll
first.
second.
And under discussion, the Board of Trustees of Etna Township, Licking County.
I'd move to hire Raymond Mitchell.
Well, I've got the motion, so
Okay.
let me go ahead and read what we've got here. Whereas the Etna Township Board of Trustees is in need of a full-time employee to work in the road department, and whereas the board wishes to hire Raymond Mitchell as a full-time road department laborer, and whereas Raymond Mitchell has expressed interest in being employed by Etna Township, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Etna Township, Licking County, Ohio, that the following resolution be and is hereby adopted. The board hereby hires Raymond Mitchell as a full-time road department laborer. Is there any further discussion on that? Any questions?
The only thing I would state is I think Section 6 should be omitted, saying the employee shall obtain a minimum Class B during the probationary period, because it's just required for the license, so it kind of conflicts with the requirements.
So amended. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Resolution passes. I'm going to move to adopt a resolution 2024-57, resolution to approve a proposal with app architecture for space planning, conceptual design, and cost budgeting. Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Ms. McKee, go ahead.
So, what is this for? Is this for to add on to this current building that we have here?
We've talked about needing, I'll be happy to answer that. We've been talking about needing extra space. I actually requested you have a copy of what services they would provide. This is a space study, first of all. It's not a redesign, and they would provide two different options on this. I have worked with this firm before. They're very renowned. They've built many municipal complexes. They've built fire departments. They are located in the Dayton area, but they do work here in Central Ohio as well. They're doing work for Hilliard. They've attached their brochure with many, you have copies of their brochure. So we do need additional space here. We own the property going all the way back to across the alley, back to the tree line here as well. And so this kind of a project would probably be 2, 3, 4 years away. I have had discussions with the township administrator as well. It's obvious that we're growing. We don't have adequate space as it is now. So this would be barely a planning document for $9,500. And I think there are many projects like this, like the park that we currently own, the 100 acres that we're doing a planning project, what we're doing with High Point Park. And so that's why I brought this to the board for consideration.
The reason why I asked is because I know we are planning, but we're so far away. Behind us, as you mentioned, we own this property back here, but I would ask that there's a garage back here. It's a 2.5 car garage, really nice garage that we own, that I could see us maybe converting that into a office space that would save the township quite a bit of money. We could insulate it, put heat, air conditioning. There's doors, there's a window on it. I could see us maybe considering using that as some office space as well.
Well, I think that could possibly be a short term, but I can tell you, having been in that garage is in very, very poor condition.
That's why I want to ask somebody to come and look at it and see, because if the foundation's good, they could still work off of that.
Well, the door frames aren't good. The only good thing on that are the garage doors.
Okay.
There's
The
no
foundation.
insulation.
Right.
The electrical is inadequate, and
Yes.
at least my opinion is that would be demolished. One of the things that was talked about was possibly reconfiguration of this space, and that's why we'd want to do a space study. and have an addition that would not necessarily, possibly attached by a breezeway, since we have this room back here, all this space to build on, rather than taking out a wall or anything, but those are just some of the concepts. So similar to what we're doing on the park, we're coming up with concepts here. I'd like to see us have a concept, which obviously would come back to the board for further discussion. This is really a long-term project, but I think collecting data and getting some professional consulting on this would be the first step.
And this is for office space. Is that what we're trying to do? Because I know a lot of the stuff that we're looking at is, that you showed us in your handouts, it's more of a full office building with, which there looks like more city, because you have your fire department, your police department, where we're more of a township. So that's kind of laid out a little bit different. So is this for office space for like planner or zoning person? I mean, just trying to see, because as trustees, we're not here every day, so we wouldn't need office space.
Well, it's a good question. Yeah, it'd be for additional staff, but there would also be a question is, would there be additional meeting rooms or other possible things that the community could use?
Okay.
Because some of the space in here, quite frankly, isn't very well laid out. These offices are too small. The zoning office is too small. The administrator's office is too small. And while we will probably go to digital scanning of records and storage, even our conference room is somewhat undersized. So these are only preliminary discussions. Some of them have been, would we redesign this space? Could this become more offices and possibly have a larger meeting room in the other? But it's all open for discussion by the board. This is basically to give us some baseline data to see what professionals would say as far as giving us additional space, not only for our current needs, but for future needs as we grow as well. There have been, and it's been in the past, it's never been followed up, but even maybe having an office for the sheriff's department.
And I like the fact that we're just collecting data. We're doing a study.
Yes.
Because I know Mr. Evans, one of the things he did was take the blueprint of this building when things started changing the first of the year. So I think that's one of his ideals, is to try to get this building extended. But I just want to make sure that we're good stewards over our money in this township. And I'm going to tell you why I say it, because of the fact that we have money coming in through our jets. But things change. Things will become more automated. When these become more automated, you have less employees in buildings. When you have less employees, you collect less taxes. And that's less money that the township will be collecting. So I just want to make sure that we're good steward over our money in the township.
I think you make good points, and those are good questions. I did want to clarify, I think was put out there, this is a redesign. Well, we're not to that point. This is merely a study, at this point.
All right.
Now I'd like to say this is not the time for this. It is needed. The administrator's been here less than a month. There are numerous items that still have not been addressed that we need to address. The comp plan, the park committee, we've got people saying, should I just resign because nothing's happening? I mean, we couldn't even get mosquito treatments, zoning. We still got to work on enforcement and how it is, because we don't even have the procedure to enforce it down. Those are the things that have been neglected, and the one thing you did say is it requires data, and that it requires input from our staff for the firm to know what we're doing, what's needed, the growth, and we don't have that time. Just like Mr. Burkholder, you tried to get a redesign of our website, I think it was in June. That requires an immense amount of input from staff in that. And again, we're still working on trying to keep up minutes. We're trying to, so this is premature. Even when we do it, I don't think it should be one of your preferred contractors. I think at their just set price, why wouldn't we put it out to bid? Because there's numerous architects within Columbus that are very good, that could possibly do the same work for even cheaper. But put it out, request for proposal, get them in, and if this is the best one, fine, but maybe at least deal with it in January. Because again, we're not even, we put a bid out or announcement out that really didn't go out too much for the Jet and Jet Z, without any information attached. Today, the administrator pulled together the information, but that wasn't provided to any of the applicants. That we're so far behind on everything. Even Palmer, we've got a resident that's got 7 semi-trucks on the property that people have been complaining about, and I know we're working for it, but those are the things that we need to address, not these pie in the sky, hey, let's do this, hey, let's do that. We gotta get the basics done and then do it, but again, we gotta stop using these just preferred contractors and just giving it to them because it's not an emergency. And why wouldn't we put this out for bid?
Well, Mr. Evans, why didn't we put out the road resurfacing for bid?
That was done through the state contract, which they bid with the state, so you can use that.
Yeah.
You should have been familiar with that product.
I am.
Process. This has nothing, this doesn't do that.
I knew you'd say that, but that doesn't mean we couldn't have put it out for bid, though. That was a rush job too. This isn't a rush thing. This is a product. This will go simultaneously. And I want to clarify. You said, well, you know, the administrator's only been here a month. We've had lengthy discussions on this. That's why I waited. If you look at the proposal, it's dated February 19th, 2024. I waited till now so that we could get it to the administrator. And yes, there are many other items that we're working on. Code enforcement is one of them. And I know very confidently that the township administrator is working with staff on all of these. And what is really coming apparent to the community, and hopefully to you, Mr. Evans, is that there are a tremendous amount of projects going on in this township. And you've been highly critical, and one of them is the maintenance of this building.
Mr. Burke.
Now let me finish, which you have chosen to ignore.
No, you told me to let the administrator handle it, so that's what I did, and then you have neglected the entire zoning department for 10 months.
Well, that's not true.
10 months. You've neglected the Pike Street project for 10 months. You've neglected the park committee. You've neglected everything. When you said we're working with, you're trying to maintain control with the administrator.
Well, let me just have
You're trying to exclude
let me have one
the
final.
others that actually know what's going on,
Let
what's needed.
me have one final comment. You can take all the personal shots you want at me. I'm used to it by now. But you want to talk about Pike Street. I worked with the TID to get another $500,000 from Morrissey. So don't sit there and say that everything's been neglected when I've been in here every single day.
At the last minute,
working.
it cost us $2,500 to apply. If you would have brought
No,
that to
that's
the board
okay.
sooner, we
That's
could have done
okay.
it on our.
I would ask that we pass
So
a resolution
I-
that anything that's $5,000 or more come with the bid. I think that's.
Well, we should start now. I move to.
Roll call. I'm going to call the question. And you can vote your conscience, and I'm fine with that. So roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
No.
Okay, motion fails. It's that easy, Mr. Evans. You don't
And
need to
then
go on with the
I'll move
diatribe.
to put out to bid a request for proposal for the space use study
Put out the bid. Go
to
ahead.
put it, that is it. For the township hall.
Well, I'll second that, but when will that go out for bid?
That will be determined, the administrator would be working on that, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
no,
In the due time.
immediately?
No, when we're able to. So do you want to table this then?
No.
I'll withdraw the motion.
Let me-
I'll withdraw the
No, you've got a motion and a second. You can't withdraw it at this time. What would be your recommendation, Administrator, regarding the immediacy of this? Would it be proper to put this bid out within the month?
Well, I mean, at this point, well, first of all, my recommendation would be that it doesn't necessarily have to be a bid if we could look at state term contracts that also exist, so that does save time for us.
Okay.
They've already been vetted by the state, and we don't need to use the bid process. And if we utilize, I would like to have the opportunity to look at what exists under state term contract.
Okay.
And so that could help expedite the situation. If in fact we have to go out for bids, that's gonna take just a little more time, and we will be closer to January, just because it just takes time to get bids out.
I'll move to table this.
I'll second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
And then we can figure out the process, bring it back.
Yep.
move forward.
Thank you.
Makes sense. Okay.
I'll move to adopt Resolution 2024-50-58, requesting funding from the Etna Township New Community Authority for the High Point Park improvement. And that request is for $125,000. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
I do have a question, why the proposed cost is, I think, $567,000. We're possibly looking at a $71,000 grant from the Park District, which isn't guaranteed. Why would we not be requesting $417,000, the remaining sum of that from there? The NCA spent over $200,000 on attorney's fees alone, that it's supposed to be for the betterment of the community. That would free up more funds that if we had to put towards the other park, fine, but why wouldn't we use that resource now? Because by the time the park's done, that more revenue is going to be coming in, and why wouldn't we ask for the full?
Well, because I thought it was a more appropriate amount. What I'd like to do is ask for the board to consider it for the 2024, and then go back as we begin to formulate the capital stack. We have $150,000 from the state capital fund, the capital budget. We can get up to approximately $79,000 from the Licking County Park District. Now, we haven't applied yet. We're putting that application together. That's a figure of about $15,000 a year over a 5-year period. They only reimburse 50%. So if we got approximately $80,000 from them, we would have to basically have a cost of $160,000. So what I'd like to do, and the other fact is, I don't think they have 400 and some thousand. It has to, there are limitations. Some of this has to be used for construction, not just planning or soft costs. The capital budget, what I've read, and we have the booklet now, what I've read is that does not have to have a match. So since I think, I don't know, Mr. Davis is here and I'm not going to put him on the spot. I know there was 300 and some thousand in there. They're still collecting monies this year, but I think it would be more favorable to that committee if we didn't come in and drain everything out of there, but come back a second year in 2025 and possibly ask for a similar match. Plus, there may be other funding sources as well that we may want to consider to come up with that total cost.
Oh, there's a lot of grants available. We're at that one that they say the purchase price, I think we paid over $2 million, that we could have probably had a $1 million grant in that purchase. So yeah, there's a lot out there, but I think authorizing up to that amount gives flexibility for that approval. And if there's not funds in there, that doesn't mean they have to give it right then. It's just when the funds come in, then they can expend it, keeping their base in there. I just think it's a small ask. Why wouldn't we ask for more?
Do you have anything, Ms. McKee?
No. On the Licking County Park, that amount can just accumulate. You can use it yearly, or you can just accumulate. If we don't, the money started a year ago, so there's money in there right now that we can use for the that grant.
Right, and our application will, it would be, right, and I don't know how they're going to distribute that. Our former intern and now temporary employee has been working on that grant.
Okay.
We're close to having that done. What we've attached as part of that application is what MKSK has put together, the proposal, the $567,000. That will be attached to that application, as will be that historical document, which documents when the park was originally constructed in 1991 at a cost of about $120,000. $60,000 of that was a grant from a different agency. And so that historical document, which is the same documents that we attached to the state capital application. So I'm glad you clarified that. And so we're going to try to get a draft over to the Park District and see what else they may need, and then give our feedback and hopefully get that sent in within the next couple of weeks. And we'll bring that actually back to the board for approval for submission.
Nice.
And there's other OPWC grants, I believe, for parks and stuff like that. So there's a lot that we've been missing out on.
that's the past. We're gonna look toward the future, so. Roll call,
So I'm
please. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Yes, resolution passes. Thank you. The fiscal officer report. Jed and Jedsey fiscal reports.
Okay, the third quarter, we got $136,492.35 from the JED.
Was this emailed to us?
I'm not sure, but I can get it to you.
So,
I thought I sent it.
I know,
So. That's quarter three of Etna, Jed's 1 through 4 and 7.
is that higher, lower,
It's about the same as last quarter.
even with the Ashley reduction and refund and?
Well, the Ashley refund was in January.
Right, but I'm saying year to date, it seems like a lot of those incomes, as Ms. McKee pointed out, are dropping. The revenue.
Yeah, we got somebody coming in there, don't we?
Well, we have Uline that's in
Oh,
there,
they're already in there.
but I know just overall, even Jed Z, Amazon was at 1.2 million years ago, dropped about 100,000 every year, and I don't think we're making 900,000 this year. I think it was 8 something.
Uline is in there, getting it prepared to have more hires in there by May. Correct.
Yeah, and that meeting for the Jed and Jedsies will be coming up here soon. I think after our November 19th
Yeah,
meeting.
it'll be
So we'll have
22nd.
yeah.
But if we could get those reports emailed to us, I'd appreciate it.
Are you ready for the resolution?
Yeah, the resolution for the purchase orders?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-59, approving the purchase orders. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion?
The Morpsey professional development as a separate item.
Yeah.
That's the fees for your guys' classes that you're taking. Also, the
Wait, you say for the classes? What classes?
Morpsey?
There's no classes with more, so you mean?
And we don't pay for OTA, we have that
Yeah.
educational
No,
thing.
Yeah, so
What's
what
the
is that
Morpsey
for?
professional development for then?
I know we pay a yearly fee, but we don't have a fee for professional development with Morpsey.
Are those the checks for 150?
Let me see.
I don't have the copy,
And I will be bringing forward a resolution. We will get an extra position on Morpsey because of our population growth. We'll be over 10,000 people, at least estimated in the unincorporated area, so we'll have 2 votes on the Morpsey board as of January 1st, 2025.
And are you planning on continuing your stint there with the administrator?
That was my intention.
The professional development for the MORs.
That's Morpsey, yeah, but
Morpsey was your class and Susan's class downtown, $150.
oh, that wasn't, okay, that was a, yeah, that wasn't a class, it was a seminar. Yeah,
Seminar.
yeah, so that's different, yeah, okay.
And what's the 500 then? It says 500?
Well, she put them together.
Don't we already have the POs for that stuff?
Not for the classes.
Again, it was for the,
150 for
the
Summit on Sustainability.
seminars, which is, they do the yearly seminars that they do, so you should have that. I can resend it to you if you want it.
what? I got the thing.
Okay, all right. Sustainability.
Summit on Sustainability.
Yeah.
Any other questions on that? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes, resolution passes. Is there a motion to ratify the payment of the bills as shown on the payment listing?
So moved.
I'll second.
We do need to add those to diligent, they're not added. Let me try to find them.
So what you-
Or I guess I got the hard copy here. Diligent to add these to the meeting software. Any of the documents we should be including in the meeting software.
Wait a minute, I got a question before we move forward. That was 150, I didn't think it was 500, it was
No, I just
150
put 150.
for me and 150 for her.
I just
So-
rounded it thinking maybe there was another class you guys might be taking it by the end of the year.
No, it should be a $500 to more, so it should have been only
No,
one, two,
that's just the
300.
PO.
Yeah, that's just the
Okay,
purchase
all
order.
right,
The checks are 150 and
okay,
150.
gotcha, okay.
That's on a separate.
I did, thank you.
And I do have a question on the Berker and Graydon. Where are we at with the approved outside council spending limitations? I know there were some separate ones with the BZA and just in general. I thought it was like 30,000 for just general. I just want to make sure we don't.
Yes, you're correct.
Exceed it.
We do need to know how much we have remaining on that PO. So if you would get that information to the administrator so that we don't exceed it.
I thought we raised that.
I think we did add to it, but I want to make sure that,
I think we added a specific items to it. But Ms. Burkle, you haven't been tracking that?
no, I haven't, and that's why the question's getting asked. In fact, we ought to check all the POs to see where we stand on them. I know we have quite a bit yet on the Bride Dale. I believe we haven't used much resources there, but we do want to check on that.
I think the regular POs, if it's entered, it'll kind of block it from processing. So, but I'm not sure if the Berker and Graydon has been separated into the different ones.
Crook shaped plumbing, that was a problem here or at the,
It was both places.
okay. Great. That's all I have. Anyone else?
I don't have any more.
Is it plumbing because of the stopped up toilets again, or?
No, it's a test.
No.
They had to do a test.
It was the backflow.
Test.
No.
Backflow.
I just want to make sure,
Backflow.
for history, we've got problem with the toilets backing up and that, and I think eventually we're going to have to kind of look at that.
Well, they said it was a design flaw the last time we had a problem, and I asked, so. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans,
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder,
Yes,
Mr.
Yes.
thank you. Motion passes. I move to go into executive session per Ohio Revised Code 121.22G1, and that's to consider appointments to the JED and JEDZ boards. Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans,
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder,
Yes,
Ms. McKee.
Yes.
time is 7:33. Is there a motion to come out of executive, you're ready? Is there a motion to come out of executive
So
session?
moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans,
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder.
Yes.
Ms. McKee.
Yes.
We're out at 8:21 of executive session. Public comments, 2 minutes per person. Anyone has a comment, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and please address the board.
Thank you.
Yes.
Shelley Renee Patch, 114 Royalty Drive. I just wanted to thank Jackie because I understand her first year as a fiscal officer and in my many years in the fiscal office with millions of dollars, maybe even billions in a budget, it is a big job and a lot to get acclimated. And I know she's working hard, and she's always had good answers for me when I have questions. So I just wanted to thank her and say, you hang in there, Jackie.
Thank you.
And thank you for there's times that you helped out to take care of our meetings too after hours. So we see you, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else at this time? Announcements and trustee comments. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, November 19th at 6 p.m. here at the Town Hall. And we have a special meeting, a budget workshop scheduled for November 26th, 2024 at 6 p.m. here at Town Hall as well. Comments from the trustees? Ms. McKee, do you have any? Mr. Evans?
Yes, I wanted to also remind people that the comments on Pike Street are requested by November 18th. As soon as I get those materials, I'll post them to my page to try to get them out because there have been some requests for that. Again, I'm very concerned that I learned at the meeting that Mr. Burkholder's been making changes unilaterally without bringing them to the board. Again, I asked the Verdandis engineer who's approved these changes, and they said the township. And the township board has not done these, and there's been numerous changes made. I've been pushing for over 2 years to get information on this, and even the engineers were stating that the announcement made was not what they were expecting. So again, the oversight was lacking. And we really, Mr. Burkholder spent time, and that was nothing that was discussed, and that ODOT didn't even participate. They were thinking ODOT was participating, coming in the meeting, but it's again the lack of oversight. It's the same thing that's happened with the comp plan that still hasn't moved forward. Same thing, park committee. We have an opportunity now where we have a talented, experienced administrator that should be given the full reins to administer this township. And Mr. Burkholder, you just want to hold on to control, and that's hurting us. Now, the other concern I have again is with the employee pay not being paid on time, and more importantly, the blaming of the bank for that instead of the error of the fiscal officer. And I'm concerned, Mr. Burkholder, I'm concerned about the process that.
They got paid on Friday.
You are out.
No, I am not out of order. The employees suffered overdrawn bank accounts.
You can challenge the chair, but you are out of order.
No, the explanation given was it was a bank error, the bank caused it, and it was not.
Mark,
I contacted, when I'm done,
Yes,
please. So I am very concerned that there's a lack of transparency, there's a lack of forthcoming in these matters, and again, the prior fiscal officer spent an enormous amount of time creating a binder, sitting down, and it was not taken advantage of, and now we're spending even more money to kind of catch up. It's just not right. And then, where was that? And then again, like I said, not motioning to approve the transitioning of the point person for vendors and outside counsel to the administrator for the second time is wholly inappropriate, and the only reason to do that is, Mr. Burkholder, for you to retain control. You still want to play administrator, and it's failed for 10 months. Let our true administrator do her job. I've transitioned everything over, and I've offered to help. That's the way it should be. You know, administrator, here's everything. You're the point person. You're the one that's supposed to be talking to our outside counselor and all that, but you want to retain it, and that is just wrong. We need to move forward, and with the lack of action and follow through on Pike Street, We had 6 residents show up to that open house meeting because it wasn't advertised. And it was set without any input from the board. That came out of nowhere, even to the administrator. So you did that again on your own
No,
without board input, and it's just wrong, Mr.
Mr.
Burkholder.
Evans, that's incorrect. We announced when they could have and have everyone there. And just for clarification, I mean, you continue to make false accusations. And it's
Without the
clear,
administrator.
and I'm going to give the fiscal officer an opportunity to
That's not
speak
true.
and defend herself, but you continue to violate our own employee handbook when you go out and you attack people and make false statements. It clearly says in there, even the trustees are supposed to follow the handbook. You don't want to work with anyone. ODOT didn't attend because that was not an ODOT required open house. You wanted the open house. I agreed with you for the open house. And that was the date. They said we can have it on this date to get it done. And everybody here seemed to be in agreement.
And why couldn't we advertise?
Well,
Why couldn't we,
Didn't Ted go door to
Yeah,
door?
that's what I'm saying too.
6 residents, you didn't even put signs out. What would have been good is, hey, let's put signs on the street that's gonna be.
Okay,
reposted.
Mr. Evans,
Show up.
why didn't you take the lead and assist? If
He
we're
did
all
it before, he
equal.
had the experience.
Yeah.
What do you mean take the lead? I am blocked in everything I attempt
No,
to
you're
do.
not.
Yes.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
You are not blocked in everything. You just refuse to participate collegiately with your fellow trustees so
No,
that you
I've
can,
been-
so that you, I'll finish.
I've been asking for a discussion on the budget, and you've refused that for
I
months.
have not refused
This
that.
is exactly what I had to deal with.
I have not
Everybody was-
refused the discussion on the budget.
Yes, so you're saying you did not get agenda requests discussing the budget?
What do you want to talk about on the budget?
Did you get agenda requests asking for that to be added to the agenda?
Well, first of all, we have to have a budget to discuss, a draft. And that's what the
So
fiscal.
now you're
officer-
changing, because I can provide those emails, just like the disclosure of
I'm not-
reporting in there
I'm not gonna-
because of the nonsense.
I'm not going to argue with you anymore, Mr. Evans. You have a history of this. It's
No,
time to
sir.
move on. I'm going, you show a little respect for your colleagues
You
there.
used to be against this nonsense until you took
I
your
have
seat.
nothing
Let's
to
get to,
say.
is there a motion to, go
I
ahead.
can say, all I can say is not one employee got overdraft fees.
One employee was negative $600.
And he did not get overdraft fees, and he did get paid on Friday. It may have been afternoon, but he got paid on Friday.
But the point is,
No, the
you
point
blamed
is-
the bank, and
the
it wasn't the
point
bank's
is-
error, it was your
That's
error.
it. Move to adjourn.
My email went to spam, okay?
Why didn't you ensure there was a confirmation? They sent a confirmation.
Mr. Evans, your constant attacks on individuals
I
is
take
totally
my
out
other
of,
employees very seriously. I seemed to be the only one.
well, you're always
Mr.
going
Evans, I
I'm sure
worked
it
on
was
that
not.
thing to make sure they got money by noon on Friday.
They didn't get my name.
They got it close to noon.
Nope.
we're not going to argue anymore about this.
Ready to make-
I move to adjourn. Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Roll call,
Mr.
please.
Evans,
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder,
Yes.
Ms. McKee.
Yes.
8:30 p.m.